Hi, I'm Naomi Grace, and this is for the solo parent who's had to make hard choices with a soft heart, for the one who's figured out how to stretch one meal into two and still made it feel like a feast, for the one who pays the school bill late but never forgets to show up for parent night with a smile. This isn't just a budgeting video, it's a lifeline, because budgeting as a solo parent isn't about the numbers, it's about survival, sacrifice, and sanity. In 2025, when prices keep rising and peace feels harder to hold on to, this kind of budgeting isn't optional, it's essential. You ready? Let's sit down together and rebuild peace, one decision at a time. When I sit down to budget, I'm not thinking about some perfect spreadsheet. I'm thinking, what keeps my child secure? What keeps food on the table? And what keeps me from breaking down? That's it. That's the list. And my budget always starts with three things: school, meals, peace of mind. Because when those three things are covered, I can breathe. And when I can breathe, I can build. Let's talk about school. Education is more than tuition. It's uniforms, shoes, books, internet, lunch money, and sometimes it's your last nerve. I create a school envelope even if it's just a folder in my mobile bank, and I protect it like it's sacred. Because when it comes to my child, it really is that serious. Even when income is low, I try to keep school consistent, because routine equals safety, and safety lets kids grow. I've sold clothes, skipped hairstyles, paused subscriptions, shared Wi-Fi with neighbors. I've done whatever it took to keep my child's school life steady. And every time I made that choice, I wasn't just spending, I was planting seeds in their mind, in their confidence, in their future. You might not see the harvest yet, but it's growing. Every sacrifice is an investment. Every delay is still belief. Because education is a bridge, and you're building it one quiet miracle at a time. Now let's get into food. Feeding your family is personal, emotional, spiritual. And when there's less money, that weight multiplies. But you can reclaim power here. Here's what I teach and what I live. Plan weekly, not daily. One grocery trip, a full list, no extras. Buy staples that work overtime. Rice, lentils, oats, frozen vegetables, peanut butter, eggs. Use the rule of twos. Cook once, eat twice. Boil double rice. Roast double chicken. Stretch that sauce. Batch cooking isn't just smart, it's self-care. And here's a big one. There is no shame in getting help. Food pantries, church baskets, community fridges. I've been there. Sometimes we think feeding our kids with less is failure. But truth? They don't care if it's gourmet. They care if we're present. I've served cereal for dinner on paper plates and still made my kids laugh so hard they forgot we were broke. Because what matters most is how we feel when we eat together. Now let's talk about something nobody budgets for but everybody needs. Peace of mind. Mental health has a cost. And if you don't budget for your peace, you'll end up paying for it with your body, your sleep, your joy. So I created something called the Peace Fund. $5 to $10 a month reserved for quiet joy. Not bills, not diapers, just joy. Maybe it's a thrifted book, a solo walk with music, a corner store cupcake, a long bath with the door locked. That little pocket of peace, it resets my nervous system and reminds me I'm not just a provider, I'm a person. When I protect my peace, I protect my child. Say that again with me. When I protect my peace, I protect my child. Here's how I track it all. It's not fancy, but it works. One sheet of paper, 3 columns. Must pay, can wait. Mental peace. I color code it. Red for urgent, yellow for flexible, blue for soul care. Then once a week I sit with it for 10 minutes. Sometimes the numbers hurt, but knowing where I stand, that's power. Because clarity is a breakthrough. You don't need a budgeting app to be wise. But if you want tools to help, check the description. I've dropped free resources I use and trust. A Notion template for visual tracking, a spending tracker app for quick check-ins, and a printable school supply list to help with those surprise back-to-school costs. Even one small tool can bring big relief. And here's a hidden gem: Fiverr. I've used Fiverr to get affordable design help, budget planners, and even meal prep guides. You don't need to do it all yourself sometimes. A Fiverr solution saves hours of stress. Also, don't sleep on Amazon. Search for school kits, home office bundles, or pantry packs. You'll find bundles that stretch your dollars further, especially if you watch for deals and coupons. Be wise. Be creative. Your solution might already be sitting in your cart. When it all feels like too much, I pause, I breathe, and I remind myself, you're doing better than you think. Let's stop chasing perfection. You don't need a perfect budget. You need a purposeful one. One that lets your child feel safe, lets you rest at night, and gives you grace for the gaps. You're not lazy. You're tired. You're not failing. You're rebuilding. You're not just surviving. You're leading. You're nurturing. You're doing holy work with tired hands and an unbreakable heart. That's enough. Check the description. It's filled with free tools and resources. You're not alone on this journey. I also recommend listening to women like Tiffany Alich, the Budgetnista, and Jordan Page from Fun Cheap Free. They break it down simply, and more importantly, they offer hope. And remember, solo doesn't mean small, it means unstoppable. Hit subscribe and your fearless journey continues right here. You're still standing, so breathe. Keep going. This is Naomi Grace, and I'm proud of you. More than you know, and more than you feel. Right now, you're not behind. You're blooming in your own season, and breakthrough? It's already in motion.